Thank you for joining me today for my interview. Can you please tell the audience your name, how you know me, relationship?
My name is Luke. This is my mother, and it also goes for relationship, although she tells me she's my mother, although I think she just picked me up off the side of the road somewhere. I don't remember.
How old are you?
23.
And today we're here to discuss your feelings on terminally ill patients and end-of-life care. How do you feel about assisted suicide, or what we would call active euthanasia?
If they can't be cured and that's what they choose to do, I believe that is an okay choice.
Do you feel that all states should have laws that legalize doctors to help patients at the end of their life?
Yes.
If I was at that point, would you want the doctors to help me?
If it is your choice, then yes.
Do you feel that this is something that should be covered under insurance?
Yes.
What led you to have these beliefs?
People make their own choices, whether or not it's terminally ill or whatever. If they choose that they want to be taken off life support or an assisted suicide because they can't take the pain anymore and there's no way for them to get rid of the pain, that's their choice to make, not somebody else's.
Do you think that this should also be available for children?
Terminally ill children, again, if those children are smart enough to make their own choice, then yes. However, I understand with the under of age of 18, it has to be a guardian that does it, parent or guardian. And I feel that if the guardian and the child talk about it enough, the guardian will understand that what needs to be done. Would understand that what choice needs to be made, whether it's yes or no, considering a child's life.
Do you feel that family members have the right to object to somebody's wishes as an adult wishes, not, let's flip back to adults. Do you feel the family has the right to object what they want to have done at the end of their lives?
I feel that adults, a family member, has a right to voice their opinion, that is, objecting to it. However, when it comes down to it, it's that sole person's choice on what to do. If they're sitting in a hospital bed waiting to die because there's nothing that can happen, no help whatsoever, and they want to speed up the process,
Do you think that there should be legislature brought about that allows this to be put into federal law, or do you think it should be based state to state? Right now, there are 8 states that'll allow it.
So, the only reason I would say federal is because when it becomes a federal legislation or federal law, whatever you would like to call it, granted they won't, all states have to follow that. All states have to abide by that law so if it's a person choosing to self-euthanize, then all states have to allow that without anybody else's objection, if that is the legislation. However, if it's statewide, states are going to say, oh, well, your spouse, your next of kin, your mother, your father, what have you, can object to it, and it won't happen. And that's just going to cause more psychological issues on the patient.
Thank you for your time today, and I appreciate your honest answers.
You're welcome.
Hi, and thank you for agreeing to interview with me today. Can you tell us your name, your age, and how you know me?
Yes, thank you for having me. My name is Andrew Wilcox. I am 47 years old, and you are my wife.
Okay. So today we're going to be having a discussion about active euthanasia or assisted suicide. How do you feel about assisted suicide or active euthanasia? Do you feel it should be legal?
I believe they should be allowed to make their own decisions in regards to whether they take their own life or not, especially if it's a terminal illness, no chance of cure. If they're in pain, they definitely should be allowed to.
Do you feel all states should allow doctors assisted suicides?
Yes, I believe so.
If I was at that point, would you be willing to help me?
Yes.
Do you feel that insurance should cover this procedure?
See, that's a tough one. Probably not. No.
Do you have a reason why?
It'd be such a hard thing to insure in terms of the type of assisted suicide. There's just such a gray area in that that if it failed, then what would would they then be? They would have to cover the remainder of the time if the assisted suicide made the patient work. There's just a big gray area that could take place on that. And if insurance is involved, then insurance is starting to make the rules on it, and the insurers will decide how and when. And there's just too much of a big business atmosphere to assisted suicide than if insurers have to pay for it. So, yeah.
I like your opinion on that. What led you to these beliefs?
I would say just seeing people that have died, and knowing the pain that people suffer just through experience, and seeing the news and stories and just lifelong experience in regards to what people go through when they are ill and have a terminal illness. It's not a happy thing, and if they are suffering, then they should be allowed to make their own decision whether they want to continue to suffer. So.
Do you believe this should be available for children?
No, I don't believe it should be available for children. I don't believe the parents should be able to make that decision for the child, and most children have not lived their lives long enough to know whether they want to end that life.
What if it's terminal?
No, I still don't believe it should be. No. You could set it at age 18. Yeah.
Can we discuss that for a moment?
Sure.
Do you feel that then the child has a right to suffer through the pain that they're going through if they're in constant pain?
Well, it comes down to that a child legally is not allowed to make their own decisions on their own body.
Right.
And it is a parent's legal right to do that. But I don't believe parents should have the legal right to make that decision for a child only because they're ending that child's life. And I believe it creates too much of another gray area if you aren't making that own decision for yourself. You're an adult, another adult is not making that decision for that adult. That adult is choosing to end their lives.
What if the child asks for it? Is 15, 16 years old?
You could probably, if you hit a range closer to that, you could probably go to court and get the permission to do it. But the younger children, no, I don't believe they should.
Then do you think parents don't have the right to take a child off of life support if they're never going to recover?
Again, a much different situation here. Life support, the child is not actively functioning. They're not.
So you're okay with passive use? That would be passive euthanasia, not active euthanasia.
Yes, exactly. And that life support again, you could have a certain time limit, that the child has been on it for. Then you can make, whether it's 6 months, 3 months. again, the medical community would probably back up that if it's a certain amount of time and they know the machine is the only thing keeping the child's life and the brain dead, then yeah, you can make that. I believe
Those
they
are
can
tough.
make that
Those are
decision.
tough choices to make.
Yes.
I
Yeah. Being a parent, I
appreciate
could
you
never imagine
being put
ending
in
my
that
child's
position.
life. It wouldn't. I couldn't do it.
Do you feel that as an adult, if you're making that decision, that your family members have the right to object?
No, I don't believe so, because they are not experiencing the pain.
Do you feel that legislature should be brought about to make it a federal law, or do you think it should be left up to the states?
Probably states.
Right now, it's available in 8 states,
Yeah.
almost 9 in 2000.
And again, I don't see why somebody could not just move to that state,
That's what people are doing.
yeah,
currently.
and then decide to take their life. So as long as it's available in some states, then I believe you're okay.
Thank you for taking your time to discuss this very sensitive topic with me.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for taking time to interview with me today.
You're welcome. Hi, I'm Owen. I'm 9 years old.
And how do you know me?
Because she's my mother.
I am your mother. I have a couple of questions for you, and they're going to be hard questions.
Okay.
Okay? Can you spit out your gum for me, please?
Thank you.
Thank
Give me
you.
it back.
Today we're going to talk about euthanasia.
What's wrong?
You know euthanasia as when we have a pet that is sick and we have to put them to sleep. That's considered passive or active euthanasia. Do you feel that if an adult is sick and is not going to get better, that they should be allowed to have that?
Yes, I do think that because if someone was like that, they need to be put down because they don't want to be any worse and they need to be in a better place.
Do you think that every state should be allowed to have people? Why not?
I think. Wait, what's the question again?
Do you think every state should allow doctors to help people who are really sick and won't get any better? Do you think that every state should allow doctors to help them pass on?
Yes.
Do you think that family members should be able to say yes or no? Or do you think it's up to the person?
I think it's up to the family members.
You think so? You think the family members should be able to say whether or not it can happen? What made you believe these beliefs? Why do you think this way?
Because we had 2 dogs. We had a dog that we had to put down. So I think that if someone was old, then we had to put him down.
Do you think that if Grampy made that decision when he was really sick, that you would want him to do that?
No more suffering. No more suffering.
No more suffering. Good job. All right. Thanks for taking time to interview with me today.
You're welcome.